Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm your host, Geoff Hassard, Assistant Director of Athletics and Sports Information Director here at SUNY Oneonta. And tonight we invited into the studio members of the cross-country team so we can talk about this season going forward and what they look forward to as we go along here this fall. So join me after the break where I'll be joined by head cross-country coach Angelo Basilico.
What makes D3 special is the ability to participate in my team and within the broader community.
The perfect ending to a perfect season.
Being a D3 student athlete has completely expanded my life.
I learned how to lead. I really found a voice.
What time is it?
It's more about the experience rather than just a sport itself.
Without the experience of being a Division III student athlete, I wouldn't be the person who I am today.
NCAA Division III. Discover, develop, dedicate.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is head cross-country coach Angelo Basilico. Welcome back to the show, Angelo.
Thanks for having me back again, Geoff.
Well, certainly, why don't we let everybody know you're SUNY Oneonta grad. Why don't we talk a little bit about that before we get into what's it like to be a coach back here at your alma mater?
Sure. Well, I'm an alum. I was a biology major here, class of '08, and had the opportunity to come back here and be the head cross-country coach. So you can't pass up an opportunity to work at your alma mater. And they had a lot of great things going here at the time. And Coach LaPiccolo has been here. He was my coach in college. And it's been a great experience being back and just building the programs up year after year. So it's been a lot of fun so far.
So again, what was it like coming back to your alma mater after that experience at Redlands?
Well, I think every coach is looking for a program where they can go in and build it into a program that can contend with the best programs in the country. And for me to be able to do that at my alma mater was even more special. So it was just a perfect opportunity to go to a place that I thought had a lot of potential, but a place that I already had a connection with.
Right. Now, of course, you came here as a cross-country runner, and you ended up going over to the track program, being a weight guy, a thrower. What was that like for you, making that transition? Well,
it was certainly a difficult transition at first, but you get to spend a little bit more time in the dining halls as a thrower than you do as a cross-country runner, so I guess it has some perks. But I was able to help my team out a little bit more in those events. Scored a couple times in the SUNY level, so just was looking for a way to help the team, and that was a better fit for me at the time, and so I was glad to be able to do that.
Now, of course, you're associate head track and field coach, working with the throwers, but more events than that. When you recruit for cross-country, is the goal just to build the cross-country, or do you look at some of these kids and start to project what they might be able to do in track as well?
Sure. Well, any runner that we bring into our program for the cross-country team, we're hoping will also be a track and field athlete as well. So we do look for athletes that can make a 3-season commitment to us, which is obviously is a big commitment and it's asking a lot. Academically, it's asking a lot of them. Now, we've been pretty fortunate to find athletes who not only can they compete 3 seasons around at the top level, but academically they've been taking care of business as well. Last year we actually had the highest GPAs in the SUNY on the men's cross-country team, the women's cross-country team, as well as the men's track and field, the women's track and field teams. So not only are our programs getting better athletically with these prospects that we're bringing in who can compete 3 seasons out of the year, which really takes a toll on your body, but they're performing at the highest level in our conference in the classroom as well. So we've been really lucky in terms of the people we've been able to attract to our program.
Now, you say that the commitment, it's a year-long commitment. What really is involved in that commitment? I mean, some of the things that you and Coach LaPiccolo do, I mean, I know you sit them down and you go through Outlook and how to manage time and how to train right. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, there's a lot of variables that we consider. We sit down with every athlete and we just think about what's going to be the best for them for the whole year. And we think about the races that they need to gear up for and when they're going to be in a heavy training phase or when their training is going to be a little bit lighter and things of that nature. Also, I mean, certainly academic is a big part of what we're doing. We have been able to develop a schedule where our travel time is a little bit less than it used to be now. If an athlete's competing at the top level in the country, we'll certainly take them to California or the Penn Relays, places that we went last year, or Iowa for the national championships, depending on where that is at the time. So for certain meets, we'll do it big and travel anywhere across the country. But on weekly trips, we've been able to stay a little bit closer to home, and that's allowed our athletes a little bit more time to spend recovering and focusing on schoolwork. So those are some of the variables that we've been able to kind of develop as our program.
Now, what would a typical training week look like for maybe, say, someone like John Longo, who's going to be on the show with us tonight, and maybe a freshman coming into the program?
Sure. Well, there's certainly a difference, and probably just the biggest difference right now for John versus some of our freshmen is that he's spending a lot more time running. He's certainly logging more miles per week, and all of our freshmen, when they come in for cross country, at some point in the recruiting process, ask us how many miles am I going to be expected to run per week. Typically, we look at it per week, and that really depends on background of the runner. We've got athletes that come in running huge amounts of mileage, and some athletes who, they think a 30-minute run is a long time, and it just depends on their coaching at the high school level and what kind of program and system they were in. Now, whatever they come in running, the goal is over 4 years to build it up to a higher number, ideally, and just do a little bit more work over time as they get better. So someone like John is certainly spending more time on his legs running than our freshmen, but he's had 4 years to build up that strength, and it means he's got to probably eat a little bit better or get a little bit more sleep than some of our freshman guys might be able to get away with, but that's part of the 4-year process. Our goal with any runner that comes to our program is run faster each year. I mean, that's the bottom line. Get them better each year, and part of that is you got to work a little bit harder each year.
Right. Now, of course, recovery plays a big part in this, and
Sure.
and if you look at our schedule, we ran the first week, first weekend in September, and then we had a week off, and then we came back and ran another. Great to have back-to-back home
Sure,
weeks
yeah.
as well out at Fortin Park. We ran really well. I mean, is that kind of stuff built into the schedule with the top runners who you say, well, maybe we don't really need them to run this week or work out? How do we do that?
Sure, absolutely. Well, having 2 home meets on the front end of our schedule, we build it that way so that our freshmen get about a month or so from when they arrive to school to really adjust to college life. I mean, they've got so many variables of their life changing, not just running. So I like to give them about a month or so before we take them on the road. So for the first month of cross country, they don't even leave town. We compete at home and we train at home on our cross country course. So it gives them a little bit more of a chance to just adjust to being a college student, which is a big adjustment. For our runners, depending on what level they're at, we absolutely have different race plans for them. Some of our runners are going to compete until mid-November, and some might only compete until mid-October, so that certainly plays a role as well as how they're going to handle each race. I mean, to expect our athletes to go out there every single weekend and run all out is asking a lot. So on top of all the other things they have to do, like schoolwork, and some of them have jobs. So there's certainly different race plans based on athlete skill level and how long their season is going to be.
Right now, because of course you're able to bring to the bigger meets, it's 7 runners.
Sometimes, yeah, towards the end of the season.
Right, and then 10. Now you'll start to. How many do we get to bring to the SUNYAC?
We'll bring 14 runners that'll compete at the SUNYAC championships.
Now, and how do those places get determined? Is it just race results all year long? Health?
Sure. Staying healthy is obviously the biggest part of that, and we hope to keep everyone healthy till that point in the season. And based on however many people we have that are healthy and racing, as we get closer to the meet, we'll see who's in that top 14, how athletes are performing, which runners are on an upswing, which runners might be starting to tire out. So there's a lot to consider, and certainly on our teams, depending on the year, sometimes it's competitive, but it's fun. What I love about our team is that even though in the back of their heads all season long they know at some point I have to pick 14 to bring to SUNYAC, at some point I have to bring 7 to bring to the regional meet. Instead of it getting competitive amongst each other, they're still supportive at practice every single day. Every person on our roster wants to help everyone around them get better. So even though they know that at some point they might not be the one that gets chosen, they're still going to do everything they can for their team. And we've been really lucky in the recruiting process to attract runners to our program that have that kind of mentality.
Yeah, it certainly has helped us. We're ranked in the region on both the men's and women's side. We were ranked preseason. We're still hanging in there pretty tough. Last year we had great performances as teams at the regional meet. What do you see now from this point, into November? I mean, what are we looking at?
Sure. Our goal right now is just to develop our runners week after week, and we're just going to prepare ourselves as best we can. We can't control what any other team in the country does, so what we're going to do is we're going to get better, we're going to stay healthy, and we're going to show up to SUNYACs and regionals, and we're going to race our best, and that's going to put us where it puts us. And if we get athletes through the national championships, that's great. We'll be glad to do it. I think we've got athletes that are certainly running at a national level right now. We're just going to get better each week. We're going to bring our best to the championship meets and see where that fits in with the other teams.
Now, our region is pretty strong. There are some really great. I mean, just in our own conference, like 4 or 5 of the top teams are in our conference.
Sure.
What does that say for our conference in the region?
Well, I kind of like that our conference is the strongest in the region. I mean, last year, despite having teams that finished 4th on both sides in the SUNYAC, we went to regionals and beat teams that won their conference. So it really shows that we're tough.
Right.
And what I like about that is we have to race at a high level early on in the championship season, and it forces us to get better. I mean, that's what it does. Being in a strong conference forces us to get better, but what it does is it prepares us for the later meets. When we know that at SUNY we already have some good competition, we can't take it lightly. But then when we get to regionals, we're not intimidated because we've already raced some of the best teams in the country.
Right. Now, when you choose the meets that you go to throughout the season, do you do that as well with how you're training? Flat courses, hilly courses? I mean, you know the courses out there.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you build your schedule that way as well?
Sure, we'll take a look. We know where we can go and run fast and what courses might be more challenging. We're probably spending a little bit more time looking at the level of competition of the meet.
Okay.
So we know when we want to race regionally and nationally ranked teams, and we know when we might be looking for a meet that's a little bit lower key,
Right.
and that just has to do with what we're looking for in the training at that point.
Right, because I know that that first meet that we always have every year is more of a, you guys call it tempo run or something, just to go out there and get a good sweat on and just complete the race. It's a shorter distance.
We'll run short course, and it's funny to call it short course because our guys will run 6,000 meters, so for most of our freshmen or newcomers, that might be the longest distance they've ever raced. So
Really?
It's certainly, for our returners, it's a short course, but yeah, we'll bring in, it'll be a smaller meet, we'll bring in a ton of teams, and we've only really been training for about 2 weeks as a team at that point. We certainly use it as an opportunity, those early season meets, we use them as opportunity to assess the training. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to see where we're at, are our workouts going well. It's not a meet we place a high priority on or a high emphasis on. We know that that's coming at the end of October and November, but it lets us know where we're at as a team right now.
Right. Well, we certainly know that the team is coming together great. I mean, 2 big wins right off the bat in the beginning of our season. We do have the expectations because we know you have the expectations of the teams doing well, so we certainly wish you the best of luck and best of health because we know that's important in running. So.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me, Geoff.
All right, well, I'd like to thank Angelo for coming by tonight, and after the break, I'll be joined by sophomore Brianna McLaughlin.
You wouldn't dump your trash on your neighbor's lawn, so why would you break it into a zillion tiny pieces and spread it through your neighbor's air? That's what happens when you burn your trash. You don't get rid of it. You just change it into hundreds of dangerous airborne toxins. Burning trash hurts people, and it hurts the natural world around us. New York State has banned trash burning in all communities. So let's all put our trash where it belongs. A message from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now is sophomore women's cross-country runner Brianna McLaughlin. How you doing, Brianna?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I'm from Yonkers, New York. I went to School of the Holy Child in Rye, and I ran cross-country my senior year there, and I did indoor and outdoor track all 4 years, but cross-country was kind of a last-minute thing.
I guess so. So you ran 1 year in high school, and here you are. You're leading us in the first 2 meets of the season. I mean, surprising, or I mean, do you think that you'd be this strong? I mean,
oh no, I was definitely surprised. Even last year, I was surprised to have performed the way that I did. I think it's just it's a different level of competition. So, being around faster people, training with faster people, it definitely.
So maybe you think it was something that was inside you anyway, and now.
I guess so.
Yeah. Wow. Well, certainly that's quite a feat to be able, 1 year across country, because it is different than track. I mean, you do run our middle distance events in track, and you had a great year in track for us as well. Transition from high school to college, though, what was that like?
It was interesting, but I think it's that way for everybody. It's just adjusting to being away from home, being around the same people all the time. Living in a dorm.
Yeah.
So it's a big adjustment, but it's something that you get used to kind of quickly.
Now, when you came to Oneonta, what was your recruiting process like?
I had come here kind of not knowing how things would be, and then I met Matt and Angelo, and they were great, and they brought in some of the girls from the team then and had them come talk to me, so I basically just fell in love with it right there, and I just always had it in the back of my mind that I would probably end up here, so I did end up here.
Now, what's your major?
Fashion merchandising.
Fashion merchandising. So what do you want to do with that?
I think I want to go into TV, entertainment, styling, that kind of stuff, but I mean, who knows? I'm still young, so.
Right. Now, are you going to, is FIT in your future?
Yeah, I'll only be here for 1 more year, and then I do my senior year at FIT.
Of course, we probably don't want to bring that up here. Probably the people who will watch it outside the competition will probably be like, great, there's only one more year, we have to deal with her. But so you're excited to be here. You're having a great year so far. You're pretty healthy.
Yeah.
With the rest of the team, you're kind of a team leader even as a sophomore. I mean, what's that like to, be looked at in that light?
I mean, it's really nice, but Danielle Kennedy is also a great leader, and we have a lot of other girls on the team who just, take charge of practice, and everybody kind of leads their own group.
Right.
So everybody gets along really great. It's a great chemistry on the team. So
now, what kinds of what's your training week like? What kind of take us through a week being you?
Mondays, and Wednesdays we have hard days, and then the rest of the days in the week we'll go kind of easy, try and recover as much as possible, and then Saturdays we race. So
right.
Obviously that's our hardest day of the week. And
right. Now, what would a hard day? What's a hard workout for you? What Monday and Wednesdays? What do those include?
Normally we do either tempo, which is kind of like a medium intensity workout, or we'll do intervals, which are faster stuff, closer to race pace. So they vary week to week depending on if we have a hard race coming up or if it's one that's not such a large scale race.
Right. Now, as we go into late October, we get into the championship part of our schedule. SUNY certainly, our team, we finished 4th last year, and certainly we think we have a team good enough, and with the returning runners, to maybe move up 1 or 2, and you never know. I mean, it only takes one day and everybody to get together, and of course it's important for everyone to kind of be grouped. Those top 7 runners got to be relatively close in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
How does the team, when you're training, how do you work that so that may happen on race day? I mean, are there things that you do within the week that?
I mean, we just try to push each other as much as possible in practice and kind of all run together so that we can mimic that in a race. And the most important thing in a race is to have somebody to run with, to kind of push you or pull you along, because it gets kind of tough out there if you're by yourself. So. Right.
Now, within the week, certainly there is recovery built in. A big part of the cross-country and track program is the whole rest and time management and nutrition, and I mean, you guys kind of really run the gamut of a lot of things that you get to learn while you're here. Did you ever, when you were in high school, did you ever think of any of those things? I mean, obviously you're an athlete, so you probably managed your time pretty well and stuff, but did you ever think of things like nutrition and rest? And
definitely not. I mean, and if I did, not to the extent that I do now. And I can say that it's probably the same for almost everybody on the team. We all take very seriously our recovery and how much sleep we get each night, and how much rest we give our bodies just to fully relax and recover, because we put our bodies through a lot, so it's important.
Now, do you think that that's one of the reasons why you've seen such a, your performance has gotten better? I mean, do you think that those parts of our program that Matt and Angelo talk about all the time, I mean, would you think that that's
definitely, and especially because they tell us how to manage all our time and how to recover correctly. So over the summer, I took a lot of time off, and I just kind of focused on that and just staying healthy and getting healthier, and that kind of carried over into the year, and they emphasize that a lot. So
during the summer, I mean, is it a time to maybe kick back a little bit and relax and let your body just unwind from it? I mean, it is, and Coach Basilico said it. I mean, it is a long year. It's a commitment of 10 months of training, really. And it's a lifestyle. So, I mean, it's got to, after a while, it's got to wear a little bit, but the summer months are where you can take that time.
Oh, yeah. I know I definitely, I take a month really easy, and you go a little stir crazy not being able to do everything that you normally do, but in the long run, it's really great for you.
Now, when do you start kicking it back up, though?
Probably mid-July is when we start getting into the longer durations for our runs, just to really prepare ourselves for preseason and the beginning of competition.
Yep. What are your goals for this year?
It would be great to get a whole women's team to nationals, but so we're all focusing on that right now, but we just really want to do well throughout the whole season and keep everybody healthy and have everybody run fast.
Well, we certainly know that you're running pretty fast right now. We hope that that continues, and certainly wish you the best of luck this year, and thanks for coming by tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, well, I'd like to thank Brianna for coming by tonight, and after the break, I'll be joined by senior men's cross-country runner John Longo.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool. Really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this. So why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately. Because time lost is brain lost.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now is senior men's cross-country runner John Longo. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks for having me, Geoff.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a senior from nearby Endwell, New York, which is about an hour from here. Came up with a bunch of my teammates, and we're just rocking and rolling.
Right, we have quite a few athletes on our cross-country team from that area. What makes that such a great running area?
Well, back in high school, we were all pretty close. We all had the same friends, same brothers and sisters that hung out with each other. So we just we were always together, and we had that brotherhood, and we'd train over the summer together at home, and when we'd come back from college, we would tell these guys how great Oneonta was, and obviously, why not come up here?
Right, so familiarity with each other certainly helps build the team chemistry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What we have going on right now, which is something pretty good.
Yep.
And you're certainly a big part of that. Now, you didn't start here.
Nope.
You came in as a sophomore.
I did.
And since you've been here, certainly you've been one of our top runners, if not the top runner, and you've had quite a 2 years anyway, and of course you started off with back-to-back kind of great performances this far in the season. What's it been like for you to be an impact runner for our program?
Well, to be honest, my freshman year, I didn't have such a great year running or academically, so to just come in here, I was just kind of looking to kind of settle my feet and get used to not being the top runner like I was in high school or like I was in my old college. So I was just kind of hoping to contribute on a team that was 9th in the region, the highest that the team had been since it had been founded. So I was just kind of hoping to come in and just do my part, do the little things like Angelo talks about, and push people and push myself and score higher. And I just worked over the summer, hung out, had fun, and I came in and I was up there, surprisingly.
Now for you, are you a high mileage guy?
I am, but I have trouble staying healthy, so I have to pick and choose when I'm going to be up in the mileage and when I'm dropping down. So we've figured out a method to the madness this year that has allowed me to kind of come in and run fast.
Now, and stay healthy. Now, we talked to Brianna a little earlier about what a typical week is for her. is it a similar week for yourself?
It's similar, but the coaches have different philosophies for guys and women. So we have the long runs, we have the easy runs. We'll do a certain number of workouts a week, but the workouts vary.
Right. Now, when you say long runs, what days of the week are those typically?
Those are Sunday or Saturday, depending on when we've had a race, typically Sunday.
And how long do those end up being?
Over the summer, they'll be upwards to 2 hours, sometimes a little farther if you mistime it. But when we come back, they're somewhere between 90 and 100 minutes.
Okay. And that for you guys, that's how many miles? 10, 12?
For the guys, it'll be close to 17 and a half for a 2-hour run.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you just have any ambition to run a marathon anytime? Have you run a marathon?
I have not, because of the training is so specific that to recover from a marathon, it would take a couple days. You'd miss a couple workouts. So I have not. Maybe after grad school, I have some time to get into it.
Grad school, let's talk about a little bit. Now your major is?
Biology.
And you're hoping to do what with that?
Physical therapy.
And you've said that you're applying to some grad schools, and you'd like to go somewhere down south?
Yes, I would, for training and just to get out of upstate New York and the weather a little bit.
Now, was physical therapy something that you always thought you might want to get into?
Yeah, since middle school I've been interested in it, and that's when I went to Nazareth College. I was studying physical therapy and I was in the program, but it was pretty strict and pretty rigid, so I just decided I'd back out and make sure this is exactly what I wanted to do before I committed myself.
Now, certainly the academic program here, you think, is preparing you well for your
for sure. Yeah, it's just So like an overall, just more well-rounded education.
Right. And of course, being part of our track and field program with the coaches and the coaching staff, put together quite a program. It really becomes what you do from the moment you wake up in the morning till the time you go to bed at night.
Yeah.
How important is it to, I don't know, be structured? I mean, could classify it as being structured, or?
Yeah, I would say that like everything I do every day, there's a reason for it, and I'm kind of thankful that my parents were always on me in high school. So I did develop like ways to be organized and stay structured, but it's just when you're running for 2 to 3 hours a day, and then going to class for 2 to 3 hours, and this and that, like you don't have a lot of time to waste.
Right, right. It really does. Some of those habits that you bring to college are really established in high school, as whether it's an athlete or even just as a student. So certainly we know you came in here with some great credentials as well. What are your goals for this year as we move forward?
Like Bree said, the #1 goal is to get a team to nationals. We have an outside chance of that this year, but if we get everyone healthy and we stay there, I think we could definitely be 5th in the region, which would get us to nationals ultimately. Chris Harvey, he needs to get healthy, and then Ben Reynolds and Andrew Bahaneke, Jimmy Bernstein and Connor, and as well as everyone else that I'm not mentioning, they just need to keep pushing it, and if everything falls into place, we definitely have a chance to be a 4th or 5th place team.
Now that's those names that you mentioned. I mean, certainly all of them have been with our program for 2-3 years, and they've all come along and matured. And it's great that you guys are kind of, you've all matured together. I mean, 4 years ago, I don't know if our program was kind of in this spot, but now it seems like it's developed, the camaraderie and the, like you said, just being with these guys and running with these guys has got to be able to push you as well.
Oh, exactly. It's like you have a family, but then your team is family 1A. Like you're with these guys. Like I said, I have class with Ben Reynolds and Anthony Romeo like every day, so I'm with these guys, and I live with them. So I'm with them from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, and then even people like Tom Haskins, who lives nearby, and Nate Weber, it's just a lot of fun. They're like your friends and your brothers. So
right, all strong athletes, all strong students. I mean, so I think that's kind of the way you guys want to. When you leave here, that's what you want to leave the program as.
Oh yeah, I came in, we were 9th in the region, and I would love to leave it at a higher place and give Angelo something to kind of like work with. I leave, we're 4th or 5th, and he's got a lot of great incoming freshmen. So
well, we certainly know you guys are capable, and we hopefully that you guys will reach your goals. We'd love to watch you go to nationals. That would be incredible.
Yes, we'd love that.
Yeah. So well, listen, thanks for coming by tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I'd like to thank all my guests tonight from the men's and women's cross country programs. And as usual, always follow us on www.oneontaathletics.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Inside Red Dragon Sports.